welcome everyone to 1 Million Cups. I know you're all familiar with it, so we won't go into the huge spiel of what it is, but this month is actually special because we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. So Hispanic Heritage Month actually started yesterday, September 15th, and goes until October 15th. So throughout the month, we're going to be featuring Hispanic and Latinx business owners, so we're really excited about that. Just a little sneak preview of what to expect. On September 23rd, we're going to have Marlene, who's with the Colectivo de Mujeres en Negocios, which is a women's collective in the Iowa City area to help and support immigrant women and women of color to launch their own home businesses. So that will be next week. And then September 30th, we have Espresso Week. So that's, I think we talked about that in the past, but that's something new that we're trying at I think it's the fourth Wednesday. When we have 4 Wednesdays in a month, we're going to do Espresso Week, or is it 5? I don't know.
It's the 5th Wednesday.
5.
The months that have 5 Wednesdays.
Yes, Wednesday. I don't really know months anymore. It's just kind of like, wow. So we're going to do Espresso Week, which is a kind of a new thing we're trying where people can present very quickly, like what they're working on, something they're excited about, a little project. So we're excited to try that out. And then October 7th, we're going to have Maria Cachua. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. She'll say it for herself then. But she started her own empanadas business. And then October 14th, we're going to have Jacqueline, who started Mamita's Coffee, which is actually downtown Iowa City, but she also does Flowers by Jacqueline. Very talented and delicious coffee and pastries. So can't wait to hear from her as well. So to kick things off, we're going to watch a little bit of a video that talks about Hispanic Heritage Month. Thought it would be better to hear from Hispanic people themselves rather than a white woman trying to describe their month. So we're going to watch that here real quickly.
Why do we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month? Because not all of us get to learn about our heritage at home.
We're not told about anything in school.
Because people are harassed for speaking Spanish.
Because our culture has been washed away for too long, even by our own people.
This country is built on immigration. Hispanics make up more than 17% of the population. That's over 57 million Americans.
So chances are you've crossed paths with someone of Hispanic descent. Why do we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month?
Porque no todos somos mexicanos. Hay otras culturas, países y lenguas que tenemos que aprender a apreciar.
To celebrate and highlight our accomplishments and influence on our American culture.
We are not going anywhere. So might as well embrace it and learn more about our diverse cultures. And because we gave you tacos. De nada.
From September 15th
to October 15th,
the United States celebrates
Puerto Ricans,
Dominicans,
Cubanos,
Mexicanos,
Salvadorians.
It started as just a week
under President Lyndon Johnson
in 1968
and was expanded to 30 days by President Ronald Reagan.
Thank you.
Why does it start in the middle of September?
September 15th is the anniversary of independence of
5 Latin American countries:
Costa Rica, El Salvador,
Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua.
Also, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th.
It gets pretty complicated.
Because Hispanic is not a race.
It's an ethnicity.
Although the official name is Hispanic Heritage Month,
many of us don't identify as Hispanic beyond census forms.
Although I do, but a lot of my friends don't, and they shouldn't have to be grouped into that.
Hispanic is someone who is a native or descends from a Spanish-speaking country. So Latino, Latina is someone of Latin American origin. This includes Brazil, but excludes Spain. Afro-Latino is someone who comes from a Latin American country and is an Afro-descendant. I'm not Spanish, I'm Latina.
What's the most frustrating misconception of being Latinx?
Do you like tacos? Do you eat spicy food? Yes, of course, I like spicy food and tacos, but that's not what our heritage is about.
Everywhere I go, it's automatically rice and beans. There's more to it than just rice and beans.
Everyone assumes I speak Spanish and I'm Catholic, but I'm Muslim and I speak Arabic.
One of the things that most annoys me when people tell me I don't look Puerto Rican. But you don't look Puerto Rican.
You? Mexican? There's no way. But you're white.
I'm white, I look white, but I'm also half Puerto Rican, and that's a big deal and should be celebrated just as much.
How could you be a Latina if you're white?
Que sí, pendejo. Just like here, Mexico is very diverse, and that is one of its many beauties.
crazy that people assume that if you speak Spanish, you're not a US citizen.
I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas. I am American.
Yo nací en un territorio estadounidense, así que soy ciudadana estadounidense, and I take my civic duties very seriously.
Sometimes people ask me, wow, how did you get here? Like as if Hispanic people don't take planes to come to America.
Why do people feel the need to comment on your accent? Sometimes they say, oh, your accent's so good, as if it was a good thing. And then sometimes they're like, oh, I can hear your accent. What does that even mean? Did you know that people were speaking Spanish in the US before English? Ponce de Leon got to what he dubbed La Florida in 1513, way before any settlers went to Jamestown. Colorado, Florida, Nevada, Montana, Montaña, those are all Spanish names.
Our heritage is about celebrating culture, it's about celebrating beauty, it's about remembering where we're from and being proud of being immigrants in this country.
We need to remember our roots. We need to take the time to remember where we come from.
There are over 50 million people in the US that speak Spanish. That is more people than in Spain. That is the second largest population of Spanish speakers outside of Mexico. The United States dancing abilities would be way lower if there weren't Latinos here.
But I can dance, because every Latino can dance.
Cubanos.
Okay. So that was just a quick video there about Hispanic Heritage Month. I hope you found it interesting. I know I didn't know much about the month prior to our group's decision to focus on Hispanic and Latinx businesses this month. So thank you for Yasmin and Ricardo for encouraging us to think outside of the box and do this month. So shout out Ricardo, and Yasmin, if you're on Facebook, shout out to you. So with that, we're gonna kind of transition. Do you want to say anything, Ricardo? You're welcome to do so too.
Yes. Like the video said, today's Mexico's Independence Day, so this is a nice day to do this.
Yeah. Do you have any traditions for celebrating the month, or is it kind of something that, no?
Honestly, it wasn't even on my radar until you guys brought it up.
Well, that's all right too. Maybe it can
now
be
I
a
will
tradition.
every year. Yeah.
Awesome. So like I said, we're going to kind of transition into more of a town hall for this session's 1 Million Cups. To kick things off, I'm just going to go through a little bit of a slideshow here. Midwest Ben, our rep, encouraged me to do so. So we're going to go through that just to kind of set the stage a little bit. And then we'll go into more of a group roundtable discussion on some of the topics related to diversity, welcoming, and inclusion in 1 Million Cups, Iowa City. So I'm just gonna share my screen here again. One moment. Share. Present. So welcome to 1 Million Cups. I hope you all know that you're here. So the mission of 1 Million Cups is to lower the barriers of access to education, resources, and connection for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. The national and local mission, we work towards this mission through creating a consistent educational for each 1MC presenter nationwide, while also highlighting the uniqueness and value proposition to your local startup community, which is what we're doing today. So they really like to focus on the 1MC core format and key pillars. So we utilize our 1MC key pillars and core program to cultivate and maintain a safe learning environment for our brave presenting entrepreneurs each week across the nation. The key pillars are presentations, not pitches. So that's why we use the term present rather than pitch. It kind of makes it a little bit less intimidating for people, and we want to make it a little bit more of a welcoming environment. And then authentic connections, not networking, and then run for the community, by the community. So while it's led by the Kauffman Foundation, it started there, it's really community focused. And that's why we have a group of organizers that know the community well and can speak to it a little bit better. So the core program is held weekly on Wednesday mornings. We do it at 9 o'clock. Some other communities do it at 8 or 8:30, but the overall 1MC group does it at 9. Presenting businesses are less than 5 years old and desiring to learn. We always say 1MC is a real learning environment. We want to be supportive of each other and learn from one another. Timing, typically 6-minute presentations, although we do sometimes let people go over, and then 20 minutes for Q&A, which also is flexible in our community. And then we finish each Q&A with a question, what can we as a community do to help you? Once again, it helps the learning environment and the supportive environment for our group. And then always free and open to the public and with free coffee. Although right now, because we're online, you provide your own coffee, but once we're back in person, we will have a coffee on us. The culture is safe and supportive. 1MC is co-owned by all who show up and support it. It's not owned by anyone. Radical and intentional inclusivity. So organizers, presenters, and attendees. We want to have a diverse group here. 1MC is all volunteer led, and we try and rotate new organizers into the group often. This past year, we've added several new organizers like Ricardo and Yasmin. So it's great to get some fresh perspectives into our group. And then fuel your presenter pipeline together as a community. So that brings us to the community discussion, some topics that we want to talk about today. I'll just stop sharing so we can actually see each other. We wanted to talk about how we can be a little bit more inclusive to all people, how we can get more diverse presenters at our 1MC. So we'd love to talk about that. So the first question that I wanted to bring up is, what does radical and intentional inclusivity mean for us? So does anyone have any thoughts on that for Iowa City community here?
Okay, what was the question? I missed it. Sorry.
What does radical and intentional inclusivity mean for us, the 1MC Iowa City community?
It sounds like that means we're making a bigger effort to bring in more diversity, which can be a struggle, especially when you're in a town that demographically is not as diverse as like a bigger city. So yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like. We should be more intentional about that. Now that I think about it, we've never, well, at least I've never made like a real effort to find like minority-owned businesses, and it would be nice because we do have like a lot of towns around here, for example, that have a higher, at least Hispanic population than Iowa City. But I don't know of many entrepreneurs over there, at least that fit our 1 million cups model of 5-year-old businesses that are wanting to learn. It's an exciting opportunity to go look for those.
Yeah, one thing that I thought of too, and I actually heard this in the eShip conference yesterday from the Kauffman Foundation, was I think people sometimes have a misconception about what is an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur can be many different things. It's not just a tech startup, it's Main Streeters, it's mom and pop shops, it's companies that are, started a little while ago and are growing now, pivoting a little bit. So I think that will help us when we think about that and like who we're recruiting. We don't typically look at Main Street businesses. We think of like people who are doing a startup. So I'm excited to have more of those types of people this month in particular. And I think we can do better about recruiting people from other communities. Like I think you're referring to West Liberty. We've tried to make some connections there with their Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, didn't hear back from them, but I think doing a call might be a better way to reach them. Another thing that, and I don't want to talk too much because I want to hear what other people have to say too, but I talked to Yasmin a while back and she's saying like, we need to look at different orgs or groups that are in the community, maybe not necessarily like business related, but a lot of those groups that, are focused on like cultures or ethnicities, like they will have business people attending those meetings, like the LULAC group, like the Latinos group. They might not be business focused always, but they have people that could be great presenters. Any other thoughts?
I know at least kind of along this line, reaching out to people who don't usually attend, startup events. I know when I've been asking folks to present, It's been a lot of, well, 1 million cups. That's a tech thing. That's a like startup bro sort of organization. And I have to say, no, it's business people who want to learn from other business people, and it doesn't matter, what your organization sells or does. And kind of pointing to examples in the past, we've had nonprofits, we've had food manufacturers. Of course we get people who've developed apps, because that happens too. But it's all part of a larger business ecosystem in the area, and trying to figure out ways of getting those folks who may not think of us as a place where where they would fit in, and say, no, you people of all stripes come here. The door is open to everyone. We'd love you to join us and see what you think, and see if it's a right fit for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of that's we can do better with, like, maybe some of the marketing stuff too, like being mindful of the terms that we're using, and having different kind of maybe marketing channels. Like, our people are our best salespeople per se, to like go out, be active in the community, share what 1 Million Cups is within their own other organizations or groups that they're involved with. Make sure people know it's not just tech bros attending. We have women, we have men, we have every types of business and entrepreneur attending and presenting. I know one of my favorite presentations we've ever had was the Tortilla Chihuas guy. That was my absolute favorite. And he, might not have been the typical entrepreneur people think of when they think of 1 Million Cups. So being more intentional about that.
I think putting it, like, not branding it as like a pitch, because that's what everything else is. Not that like 1 Million Cups is branded as that, but it's putting it as, this isn't like a pitch for something. You're just talking about, your entrepreneurial thing, because everything else is a pitch. I want you to invest in this. I want you to know, everything else is, I want something from this, and it's not just here's what I got. I think that would be, like differentiating that, because that is how like 1 Million Cups is separate from everything else I see. So
yeah, that's one thing that they really stress on the national level for 1 Million Cups, is using the word present rather than pitch. And I know when I, talk about 1 Million Cups to people or reach out about presenting, I typically say, like, we'd love to have you share your story and present your story rather than pitch, because I think that makes people a little bit more comfortable. So that's a great point, Gabe.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I was listening in via the Facebook live, and I was like, I just need to be on the Zoom, so I jumped over. That's how, talking about, this is the fact that this is Hispanic Heritage Month, and we're going to have different speakers this time around. We have someone that has a home business with empanadas. We have someone who's like consultant and things of that sort. What really allowed them to say yes was emphasizing what the story was, right? So like, how did you come to be? What is something that you want to share that would really tell us more about what you're doing, and bridging the gap between like you as someone who is creating something and doing something in the community and the community, right? Like, the reason the things, the businesses that is typically because you have a deeper connection than just knowing their mission and vision, right? Someone there, their story and things of that sort.
Yeah, that's a great point, Yasmin, and thanks for doing a lot of outreach this month. We really appreciate it. I think we learned a lot, about how to like approach it and talk about it, so that's great. I had another thought, but I just blanked, so if anyone else has a thought, please go in. Oh yeah, I always like to stress too that 1 Million Cups is an incredibly supportive environment. That's what we strive to be. Like I say, we always end with the question, how can we help you? So it's not, we don't want you like helping us. Well, I guess it goes both ways, but like we want to be supportive. We want to help you succeed in this community. We want you to grow. You know, just saying like the questions are usually things that like maybe you haven't thought of, and like maybe it can help you get over that bump that you've been facing. So yeah, that's what I like to kind of emphasis as well when I'm talking about 1 million cups to people. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious, does anyone have any groups that they're involved with that they think, you know, I've never thought about talking about 1 million cups to these people, but maybe they're good groups to reach out to about, you know, our group, presenting possibly. We're always looking for new connections to make and to share the story of 1 million cups.
Typically, we look for newer businesses that are challenging the norm or doing something new, and not every, but like 90% of Hispanic entrepreneurs I know are in the food service industry. So this month we said, hey, why not listen to those stories perhaps? So that's one sector that we were like, yeah, let's bring them in and see, because the video did talk about tacos. So food is very important in the Hispanic community, obviously. So,
well, and
you'd have to do it when we can't meet in person. Like, I mean, that would be like the best thing would be, have some of these businesses bring in like their, I mean, like I love mamitas. And so I think, having, because growing up, well, not growing up, but having two Hispanic children, like the culture around the food is huge. So I think, it kind of stinks that we can't all be in person to experience it, but, there's that aspect of it too, that it might not come across on Zoom, but, I hope something like that is presented as well. Everything else around it, it's not just the food, it's the culture around it too.
That's absolutely correct. That's why, like I said, one of my favorite presenters was the tortillas Chivas guy, because he did bring in samples, and once you like hear his story and then try his product, it's like, I am never buying any other tortilla. Unfortunately, I think our community wasn't able to support him in the way he should have, and I think that goes to like some of the issues that some of our entrepreneurs are facing with funding and access to resources. So that was one of the most heartbreaking things this past couple of years to see that. But I think that's why we need to like be more intentional. How can we support these people? How can we, get you more maybe connected in this community? And that's some of the magic with 1 million cups.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that with, was it I forget the name of the restaurant, but it was either a Moroccan or an Ethiopian, where the new pupusas place is on the strip, and me like loving their food, and like I knew the university clubs would like always bring them out to cater, but they ended up closing down because they just didn't have enough business going. And I was thinking, like, what else is out there that where they're entrepreneurial in their approach, but they just consider themselves businesses. And one of the speakers we have for this month, which I'm excited about, is Jacqueline Ariola, and she's doing insurance, right? Like, she's an insurance company, and insurance, like life insurance, health insurance, all of these things. And I'm like, that is servicing the community. Like, that is also a business. Like, and I spoke to her about how she got there, and thinking about like what happens when we expand the face of the typical person you think presents at 1 million cups. What happens when you expand it and make it bring in more possibilities? And it's a little hard, right? Because we do have a lot of presenters that are startups, and we want to also support them as they are starting to build. But it's also like, how do we start to bring more range to that almost?
Definitely. It's a great point.
I would also say that it also helped for the recruitment to mention that we are there to help, like, the presentations come together, right? Like, I was talking to a couple different people, and they were like, okay, so tell me more about what what I'm gonna present. And I was like, just tell your story. And I started asking them questions, and it allowed them to be like, oh, this, I can tell about how, like, this came to be and what this is inspired by, and thus tell the story of my business. I think when we were able to, like, have conversations and really say, like, there's coaches here for that. Like, there's people you can talk to that help you present. You don't have to just show up prepared.
Yeah, and you know, we don't always, like, a lot of people do have slides that they share, but you don't need to have like a slide deck to present at 1 Million Cups too. And I think that kind of like freaks people out sometimes. Is like, oh, I don't want to create a slide deck. And, you know, I think that goes back to, like, people think of, you know, pitching when they think of like this kind of event, but in fact, it's more presenting, sharing your story, and whatnot. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just reinforce that. You know, this is Eric. This is, when I first heard about it, I thought it would be more pitch it. But the presentations and the way that they're done is very refreshing. And as you all probably know, a pitch is very different than just telling your story. You know, they're very specific things you have to do. So somehow to communicate that message and let people know, I think it's much less intimidating and therefore more important and beneficial just to get people to get their message out, whatever it is.
Paul, do you have any thoughts? I know you see a lot of different types of entrepreneurs come through the SBDC. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, I when I see clients, I always mention 1 Million Cups and encourage them to sign up to present. Not many end up doing it. Some of them show up, though. I've seen, when we were meeting person to person, some were showing up. But I think just have to keep promoting it. And one thought I had is, to promote 1 Million Cups, there's Lions Clubs, there's Kiwanis, there's Optimists, and some of those people may be interested. A lot of small businesses are made up of those groups, and just make them more cognizant of it. Like, I'm a member of Kiwanis. I'd be glad to mention 1 Million Cups to them and see if some of the younger members would be willing to present. A lot of the people don't join those service clubs like they used to, so the average age is pretty old, but there are a few young members that are involved in business and might be able to present.
We're not going to discriminate on age. We'll take anybody.
Okay.
They may have some really good advice and experience that would be really beneficial for the younger generation to hear. So bring them on. And if you want to send any of your clients, if you feel like maybe talking to either me or Liz or any of us, in a little more in depth, we can maybe sell them almost on why it's important to present and get their story out there. So feel free to contact or connect them with us at any time.
Yeah, when people come in, I show them the website and then the Facebook site. But I was thinking maybe if we had like a little business card with the URL on it and that I could just hand out to them, or we could give out like when we're networking to kind of remind them of it, something they can take with them and jog their memory when Wednesday comes about.
I think we do maybe have business cards. If not, I feel like that's something that we should be able to get to through the national 1MC chapter, because that would be a good idea.
I agree.
Kind of go back to a little bit about. Is that me?
I removed them. I wondered if he was going to.
Yeah, curious about those two that we let in.
Going off of kind of what Paul and Aaron said, like, I mean, it like looking at the entrepreneurial established businesses would have had to have been, you know, entrepreneurial at some point. So I think, you know, getting like an established businesses and to talk about, you know, hey, here's our story. Here's the challenges we faced starting out. You know, here's the problems we face. Here's, you know, how we overcame that could really be like influential for, you know, other people starting out or, you know, trying to figure out what their next avenue is going to be. So I think, you know, looking at like local established businesses could, you know, help other people too, just in hearing their story and like, oh, hey, I have that same problem.
Yeah, one thing that we did last year was a refill presentation, and we've talked about doing more of those. So people who have presented in the past at 1 Million Cups, maybe a couple years ago, having them come back and talk about like what they learned when they were, you know, a newer company, things that they've adapted along the way. So I think that's a great idea, doing some more of those. Any other groups that people are involved with that they'd maybe be willing to reach out to about presenting? Any other questions that people like can think of in regards to, you know, diversity, inclusion, topics they want to chat about with that? I can look at my list too, but I want this to be, you know, a community-led conversation.
I was wondering if maybe we ping the community, right? Like maybe we ping the community that comes to 1 Million Cups and ask them like, what is one presentation that you remember, and create some sort of like, tell us your story, and then be like, this is for the tech startup, this is for the newly opened restaurant owner, this is for, and just start to be able to have that as also part of our description, right? Because when we start to identify the people, the different types of people that can present, and have them be able to say, hey, that's me, right? Then it might help diversify who is presenting, and then bring up, I think the challenge with diversity and inclusion and equity for that matter is that you don't really know what you are missing for that group until they show up. And only if they have the platform to even say, once they show up, what's missing, can you start to change things. So I'm wondering if like we paint, like going back to what I said, ping the community, what's like one speaker or one type of business that has really stood out for you in the entire time that we've done 1 Million Cups, and use that to be like, we've had people who are doing insurance, people who are doing virtual math development. We have people doing, I'm thinking of the trivia one that we had, Adam, or what was his name? Andrew's trivia. Like we can say all of those people, and maybe that'll help.
Yeah. Are you thinking like using that for marketing materials, Yasmin? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was thinking like I've seen people do it on Instagram and create like a story highlight where they have a picture and they're like, this is for this is for this type of person, this is open to this kind of person, but also just having it like on our Facebook description. Like we say like, come present, but like we never say like what that is and who it's for, what the platform is for, really.
Yeah. Great. Any other thoughts from the crowd?
I'm curious where your heart is going.
Yeah.
To the east side to look at a house.
I was also thinking we could encourage, you know, all the people who do attend 1 Million Cups too, to personally do some outreach as well, because, you know, our 5 or 6 organizers can only reach so many people, only know certain groups of individuals. So If you need any resources when you're doing that, doing some outreach, please let us know, because we'd happy to give you, whether it be business cards, stickers, just verbiage you could potentially use. We're happy to do that too.
I think that maybe we should offer up those awesome coffee mugs we have and just be like, bring us a presenter and you get a coffee mug too. Eric, tell us, is your company less than 5 years old? Would you have an interest in presenting?
Ours, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. There's so many other good stories. I wouldn't want to cut anybody else in line or something, but yeah, we're 4 years old, so.
That's what I thought. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Always looking for new people to present.
I'd be happy to.
Just after
I'd
this.
love talking about what we're doing, so.
Great. Awesome. Well, if there aren't any other thoughts, we can move on to community announcements, I think. I'll give people 5 seconds to think if they have any other thoughts on that. If not, we'll move on to community announcements. I don't see anyone from JPEC, so I am assuming they don't have any announcements.
They did send out the venture school applications or they're taking applications through October 1st.
Perfect.
I don't know if they're still looking for businesses for their student teams, their consulting teams, but I know that message has been kind of circulating out there. If you know anyone that could benefit from a student team to help them with marketing or whatever, I know I've had them work on one of my startups a couple times, and we got some good information out of them. So it's definitely it's beneficial to both the business and the students.
Yeah, they do. They offer a lot of different things. Marketing just one of them, and kind of like management insights as well. So ICAD announcements. One exciting thing going on this week is that it is Welcoming Week, which ties in very nicely to this month's theme. So Welcoming Week in particular is actually a nationwide week celebrating all the diversity and people that make our communities thrive and be unique. So we're excited about that. We have 2 different events going on this week. One that's already going on throughout the week. We partnered with Chomp to offer free delivery on one order. And we're really encouraging people to support an immigrant-owned business, immigrant-owned restaurant during that week using that code. So you can find more information on ICAD's Facebook page about that. And then the other thing that we're doing is Friday is going to be the Chalk Your Walk event. So we encourage people to chalk their own sidewalks with a message or image that depicts welcoming and belonging in our community. So we encourage you to do that. We are offering free chalk. I think we have a little pickup at Merge actually in our entryway. So if you need chalk and want to participate, you can come pick some up here. Other than that, ICAD is having our annual meeting virtually on October 8th. So we invite you all to attend that. Should be pretty good. Erin, I'm trying to think if we have anything else to announce.
Well, I think you got it. We got a lot going on.
We do have a lot going on. And like I said, throughout the month, we're having Hispanic and Latinx business owners present. So we really hope you'll join us the rest of this month, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. For those businesses. Does the business partnership have any announcements, Felicia?
Yeah, we have some ribbon cuttings coming up. So I'm sure you guys have all heard of that giant arena going into Coralville. Well, they're having a ribbon cutting Thursday at 4 p.m. If you are interested, it is an in-person event. I'm sure there'll be plenty of pictures afterwards. So if you don't want to attend but want to see it, I know Kim has already been and taken some great photos. It looks awesome. And then also we have a virtual new member speed networking event coming up. That is September 24th from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. And so this is just kind of like a nice event for our members. And we're opening it up to the community as well. So if you are interested in that, we have the details on our website. It's just a way for people to meet other people that are either new members or new to the community. And then we have a ribbon cutting for Ascended Electronics. They just recently moved. They're a young business and they moved to a new location and they want to celebrate and honor that. So on October 3rd at 3:30, we'll have a ribbon cutting for them, and that is a Friday, so expect some fun.
Great. And Yasmin, I did share info about Marlene, but if you have additional information that you'd like to share about her collective, you're welcome to do so now. Saw your chat there.
Oh, I guess I missed that part. Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that like Marlene she's one of our merge members, right? I think she's now in the North Liberty location one, but she's a consultant in youth engagement, young adult advocacy, leadership, and public policy, and she is stellar in the types of things that she's building for the Iowa City community. So I'm really excited to have her next week, and I'm really hoping that anyone kind of interested in how do you even get youth engaged in public policy and advocacy, especially now in this climate, show up and really learn something from her. So she's great. So I'm really excited about that, and I just wanted to share she's who's up next week.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one. In particular, we've heard kind of a little bit about what she does, but I haven't heard in depth of what she offers. And I think that in particular is really relevant and important right now in our community and in our world. So excited for that and the rest of them.